Yo, yo, yo. Yo, yo. Yo, chat. Yeah. What's up, 𝑄SOX? So, bro, let's talk about it, bro. I think there's only one thing that's so obvious that we should talk about. And it's me. Chat. Recently, I've had little motivation to stream. And it's not that I've had no motivation to stream. It's sort of that I've had little motivation to... My life's kind of in a mess right now. And that's why I've been taking some time off, but I realized that, like, not really that I don't want to stream, it's that I'm not setting myself up for, like, success. And to be able to set myself up for success, I need to get a schedule and a routine in place that's helpful for not only myself, but, you know, my family and everybody that's near to me, and be more useful as far as that goes. So you think about quitting? I've always, like, there's always been a thought in there about quitting, but if you quit, then you never achieve what you truly want. There's always a sense of doubt. I think you'll have those phases. No matter who you are, there's always going to be a sense of doubt. But on some realness, like, I'm not quitting, but I need some things to be fixed for me to be able to continue. I don't really like taking time off. I don't think it helps anything. 2 viewers only? Yeah, I just started stream. I think that for me really to be able to continue, I need to focus on myself first. And that's just how it is, bro. Things aren't working right in my life right now, and I need to get them straightened out. And life's not always going to be perfect, but no matter what, like, you just gotta keep pushing on. I always try to give you guys good content, but, like, sometimes you also have to realize that at the end of the day, I'm only a human, and I can't always produce the best for what's best for the streams. I'm not retiring, but I don't know how much longer things will last, to be honest. At this current rate, I'm seeing everything I've ever worked for kind of fizzle away in front of my eyes. You know, all those watch time I've worked for, all that kind of stuff, all the streams I've put up. By not streaming, it hurts me kind of to see me not to stream. But then at the end of the day, I don't set myself up for success, and then I wake up late, and then everything's misaligned, nothing works, and then I'm stuck in the loop of I do work that day, and then everything goes down sale. So yeah, but I think it all does start with my sleep schedule. No, I think it all starts with my work schedule, to be honest. and that's something I'm going to talk to my managers about today and see if I can have a less regular work schedule. So I want it to be consistent, but I want it to be either less days I'm working or I'm working for less time each day. It has to be one or the other, but I have to work less in general. And it's not a full time. I didn't think I was working full time. I signed up for part time, but then, yeah. Because chat, here's the thing: is I'm not working one job. Like if you think about it, chat, I'm not working. I'm not working one job. Like, let's put this into perspective. I'm working two jobs at, and previously I was working two jobs at my maximum capacity, and I was working 11 hours a day. Literally, no cap. I was literally working 11 hours a day. And at some point, no matter who you are, working 11 hours a day for however long, it's going to get to you sooner or later. And you just simply will not be able to continue that. Like, dead serious. And then I wasn't trying, and then I wasn't setting myself up for success. And I'm still not, as far as my sleep schedule goes, which is why I'm streaming later instead of 10:30. I'm having some mental issues, so I'm gonna go talk to somebody about that. And also, like, yeah, it's just hard to continue streaming with this job. I like my job, don't get me wrong. I love my job. Like, I love the work environment about my job. I just, at a certain point, I mean, it is a job. Streaming is a job. I'm earning from streaming, so you can count it as a job. I have financial benefits from streaming. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's a job. But regardless, whether you call it a job or not, I was dedicating 3 hours a day plus the 8 hour work shifts I would be working. So at the end of the day, that's about 11 hours. Maybe it was 2.5 hours, but still, either way, that's an 11-hour shift. And yeah. So I think at the end of the day, chat, I'm not gonna quit. But I need to like lock in. I need a self-evaluation. I need to be able to get myself on the right track to be able to continue. And if I don't get myself on the right track, then I'm truly going to see everything I've worked for fizzle in front of my eyes, which I don't want. And yeah. And as y'all know, is I have these watch hour things, and to be able to get watch hours, in October, a lot of my watch hours are going to disappear. And I don't want to make it about watch hours, I don't want to make it about that. But when you work so hard to get all that set up for so long, I worked so hard to get that. It's like, it's difficult to see it disappear. Thank you for the heart reactions. So chat, at the end of the day, I think everybody needs to know you got to focus on yourself before you can focus on others. So that's the main thing. I got to focus on myself before I can focus on others. I love you as a streamer. You work day and night. Yeah, but I've become too acceptant with how I currently stand. Chat, if I don't genuinely get YouTube partner this October, before October, I might actually like fall into a serious crippling depression. I know it's not supposed to be about that, but like it's so hard not to see it. I think it's like so hard to see it all disappear, because that's if I work so hard for something and then I just stop working for it, I would get mad at myself, and then that doesn't help anything. Now I'm mad at myself for not working hard, but when the real problem isn't helped by being mad at myself, it's an issue because now I'm mad and not being productive. What's up, gaming? And like, yeah, I just need to, I don't know what I could do. So let's make some plans. And this is more for myself. I don't really care like what other people think. This is more for myself. Let's make some plans here. I think my number one plan is to get my sleep schedule. I work too much, I'll be honest. Work too much. Let's dial it back a little bit. I work about 39 hours a week, I believe, roughly. Let's see, if I work 8 hours a day, 8 hours a day, I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Friday. I work 4 days plus Saturday, but we'll add that later. 4 days, that's 8 hours. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 7, because I work 7 hours on Saturday. 7, 32. That's, yeah, literally 39 hours a week, which is crazy. And I've never worked a job before. Like, I've never worked a job like this before. So it's from 0 to max in a matter of in a day. My first shift ever was an 8-hour shift. And chat, don't like I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to complain, but yeah. I'm not quitting. I've never worked in a public industry like this before. I've never worked in a public setting like this. I've never done this. I'm gonna be quitting streaming. I'm not quitting. I never quit. I'll never quit. I'll be 50 and still trying. And I probably won't make it, but like I'll still try. And I think the underlying, so why is this vertical? I'm tripping. What do you mean? What do you mean, John? Oh, there's a vertical setting on YouTube, I guess. You can switch it to horizontal, I think. I don't know. I think if you're on mobile, auto sets you to vertical. If I have the setting enabled. Take 2 months of self-care? No. 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 I can't do that. So chat. Steps to recovery. Okay? Steps to recovery. Let me make this text larger. How do I do that? Steps to recovery, bro. How am I gonna recover from everything right now? Can't see it because it's on vertical. There you go. Let me just put this in the center a little bit. Steps to recovery. Step 1. I never really took time, chat. I've been going non-stop for a long time now. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you know. But whenever you're doing it non-stop for just so long, it's hard to continue, chat. So here's sort of some steps, bro, I'm gonna have to take. One is maybe lower down how much I'm working at. You know, I'm working 39 hours a week. And that's just on my actual public job. So let's just say, yeah, dial it back a bit. We'll label this one as less Chick-fil-A work time. And chat, I'm not dissing a Chick-fil-A. I actually love I'll go to the opposite. I'll say I think they're insane. How do you spell Chick-fil-A? Less Chick-fil-A work time, because I'm working 39 hours right now. Working 39 hours RN. Chat, the thing is, for me, it's gone from 0. It went from literally 0 to 100%. It went from 0 to 100%. Oh, there's a CK. They went from 0 to 100% literally in like a day. my first training, I worked 8 hours. Literally, that like they work you hard there. So working 0 to 100%, it's a lot. Next, I would say probably work at Chick-fil-A. Less. I'm just gonna say less work time. So chat, what's realistic? I still want to keep my hours up. Let's try to get it up to 30. Try to get the weekends off too. Nah, I wanna be able to work, but that's low-key not a bad idea. Chat, I'm gonna see if I can shift my Saturday. Is stream delayed? No. Chat, I want to see if I can get my Saturday back and then work on Thursday. And because the reason the reason for this is I don't work Thursday, didn't schedule me Thursday for some reason. My schedule in my head is so messed up ever since I started. I'm thinking it's all, I'm like, I don't even know what day it is. Like, I know now, but like for the most part, I don't know what day it is because I'm just working. And I have to fix something, otherwise it's just gonna go downhill. So yeah, less work time. So let's probably go dial it down to like 30 hours. So maybe I'll work one less day. Yeah, pretty much every day except for Thursday and Sundays. Yep, literally. Why didn't work Thursdays? Because I had something previously scheduled for Thursdays that I was busy on. So, but I think they updated my schedule, so I'm able, like, I sent in a request to change my schedule, so I'm allowed to be able to work Thursdays. I'm hoping then I can get Saturdays off. Cut back to 27 hours. That's so wait, how many hours? 4 times well, if I work 8-hour shifts, so 48, so if I work 32 hours, that means I will work 4 days. 27 would be like a weird number. I think 32 hours is a more acceptable number. I could still work 4 days. I would like to work the 5 days of the week though. I would like to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Friday, not Saturday. 12-hour cutback. Chad, is that reasonable? But next is, just talk to my manager about that. Next is this, and that will fix a lot of things too. I think that will help me out, be able to be more consistent, you know? I really do think that will help me be more consistent. What else? Do you have a job outside of streaming? Yes. Less work time. I have a job. That's the difficulty is, chat, if I stream, I typically stream, I want to stream 2 hours a day. I want to stream at least 2 hours a day, every day, if possible. Cause chat, y'all don't know, bro. I'm on the grind, bro. Chat, do y'all realize how close I am to making it? Like literally, bro, I'm so close. Dude, I'm so close to being like a partner. Like, look, bro, I have 3,272 watch hours out of the 4,000 I need, bro. Like, you don't realize that. That's how close I am. That's why I want to like really grind on it. And whenever October comes along, chat, I'm gonna have a lot of watch hours lost because of I had a marathon. Okay, next is gonna be sleep schedule. So this can start tonight. What's a good sleep schedule? So chat, I work from 8 to 11. I work 8 to 11 every day except for Monday, except for Thursday and Sunday. Yep. Every day except for Thursday and Sunday. So sleep schedule. I work like 3 to 11. Not 8 a.m. to 11. I meant to say, if I said 8 a.m., I meant to say I work 11, 3 p.m. to 11. I'm tweaking. And the 11 shifts are so hard because there's closing shifts. Closing shifts are actually so hard. But yes. How am I going to fix that? Chat, how am I going to fix that? Let's see. Whenever I get home, I pretty much, like today, for an example, I didn't go to sleep at the time I should have. I stayed up scrolling. But the reason for this is, like, I just need time to decompress. So maybe I do schedule... Chat, maybe I do schedule 1 hour after I get home to just scroll and to do whatever. So 1 hour after I get home to scroll or whatever. Okay, that's not a bad idea now, because I need some time. I'm not gonna say where my Chick-fil-A is because that would be not good information to give out. Sometimes even called Comrade when he got him. Yeah, bro, we barely even call nowadays because of this work thing. And I don't like that. So, good idea is here. Let me move this so y'all can see it. Okay, let me go see. 1 hour. That's the worst idea I've ever heard, bro. Bro, I'm trying to do streamer, bro. But yeah, chat. So 1 hour after I get home, maybe I'll scroll or whatever. And then that leaves it to 12 p.m. sleep. And then I need, chat, the human body needs 8 hours of sleep to be fully rested and ready for the next day. So so this gets me up at 12 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7? Wait, 8, that's 8 a.m. So wake up 8 a.m. because that's 8 hours of sleep. All right. Yeah, it's a reasonable start time. That's just when I wake up. Now I gotta do all my morning stuff. I gotta do some chores. EXT. No, EX. And then I got to 12 to 8 is suo. Yeah. But this is all relying on me being able to be consistent with this. Chat, I think everything will change, and this might take a little bit of time to get this worked out, the less work time, because right now we're kind of understaffed, so they need everybody they can get. But for me to be able to continue, even be able to work there, I need to be able to cut down on work time. I think it all starts at work time. Next is some chores, you know, shower. What else, chat? Get up some chores, get shower, get breakfast. Maybe I go for a walk. Maybe you go for a walk. No? Because a walk that can help you. Go, well, this isn't the exact order I would do this in, so do y'all want the exact, yeah, I would probably do it in this order. Wake up, go for a walk, and then I would go and shower once I get home. Go for like what's the reason? Go for like walk 15 minutes. Nothing big. Walk the dogs? Yeah, that's not even a bad idea. Walk the dogs. Maybe walk the dogs. Shower. And then, you know, this takes like 5 minutes or something. 5 minutes. This is just the wake up. Get a nice shower. You know, breakfast. Yep. And that's something that that has really been destroyed by working. And it was never great before, but whenever I wake up, 7 minutes, 15 seconds. Bro's timing the exact seconds. You're crazy, bro. Okay, breakfast. Breakfast, and I need to emphasize this. Need breakfast. Chat, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It helps you start off your day. It's also like good for nutrition. It helps you have food in your body and be able to work properly. So I need to emphasize breakfast. Never had a soundboard ready? Yeah, bro. So okay, breakfast. And then I don't know how long this take. I don't want to schedule. That's yeah, it does. And I haven't had breakfast in a long, like I haven't had a good breakfast in a while. Like I'm getting really bad at it. It's actually getting really bad. So yeah. 30 minutes. Let's not rush it because sometimes you want a slow breakfast. Sometimes you make breakfast and you're slow at it. 30 minutes is reasonable. Remember me? What's up, Snuzzly? Yeah. Snuzzly. So yeah, breakfast needs, you need breakfast. I'll just bold this low key. Need breakfast. Next. That puts me at about, let's say an hour. Let's say an hour and 15 minutes. Because sometimes other things may take longer. Say an hour and 15 minutes or so after I wake up. So we're at like 9:15 a.m. Okay. You silenced me? Well, that was mods, I think, but I didn't do it. Blame Ducky. So yeah, 9:15 a.m. What else? Chores. Yep, cool. Wait, did I put chores here? I need chores, so chores. 5 to 15 minutes. We'll just put this at 9:30 even, so, you know. Cool. Now we're at an hour and a half after I wake up. That's pretty good. That's not bad. That's not bad. Chores? Oh. My bad. I spelled choir. Wait, is that chore? My bad. Is that spelled choir? My bad, bro. Okay. Hey. So now we're at 9:30 a.m. I need something for myself, chat. I need something for myself. So maybe, what else could I do, bro? That is imagining things when I heard the wife. What else could I do, chat? Because I know I can't just. The problem is, chat. I can't just wake up and stream. Nothing gets done. Nothing's well placed. As much as I would love to just be able to wake up and stream, I need like. Let's make this like 15 to 20 minutes. Shower. Let's say shower plus hygiene. You go to school. Wait, how do you spell hygiene? Hygiene. Hinge? No, wait. Hygiene. Hygiene. Bro, how do you spell hygiene? Yeah, I gotta go sleep. It's 19:59 for me. Bro, it's 1:50 p.m. for me. GE. Like that. So that should be like 10 to 20 mins. So, chat, do I have work today? Yes, I do. So we'll just bump this back to, 9:50. Because chat, the worst thing you could do for a schedule, and tell me if I'm right, bro. One of the worst things you could do when you're making a schedule is not give yourself enough time, and then you feel like you have to keep to that schedule. I'll be honest. Yeah, bro. Chat is crazy. I feel like one of the worst things you could do is not give yourself enough time. Facts or cap? Okay, bro. How is that even message even allowed, bro? Bro, mods. What are we doing, bro? Are we rage baiting mods? Mods, bro. Y'all let that one slide. Okay, bro. Okay. All right, bet. Here we go. And then, so yeah, that's good. Anything else, chat? What else? What else are y'all thinking? So this would be about 9, let's just say 10. 10, 10, 10. That gives me an extra 20 minutes that I didn't have before. 10, 10. And I'm not trying to map it out for exact, so it's not going to be exactly 10, 10 every time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Doing exactly what you want for an hour, that's low-key not a bad idea. That's what I was actually, something that I was thinking of. But I need to think of something. I need to think of something to do. Otherwise, I'm never going to do it. So maybe I work on... No, but I can't work, chat. It can't be work. It can't be work. It can't be work. It can't be work. Because, see, chat, that's where I get messed up, bro. Is all I'm doing is work, 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 work. Chat, that's the thing is... my mind keeps going back to work, bro. I was thinking about, bro, I need an activity. So maybe I go and take photos. Photography. Go do something with photography. 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 Something with family. Photography or do something with the family, okay? Not a bad shout. Low-key. Right? That's good. Photography or do something with the family. Or whatever. It could be anything. So that could be anything from, going out just to the park with my family. Bro, 3 hours, bro. This is supposed to help me actually like progress and get a good schedule. Because chat, things aren't working out right now. Yeah, let's talk to some people online. Yeah, okay. Talk to some friends. Wait, that's an issue. That's an issue, chat. That's an issue I have. You want to know what the issue really is, bro? I have no friends. IRL. I was about to hit a vine boom, but like that's not like a funny thing to be hit, because it's true though. Dead serious? No, it's true. It's true. It's true. Besides you, Sean, chat. Besides anybody that I've ever met through all this stuff. I mean like IRL, dude. I mean like I know everybody's real, but like, are you not friends with people at work? That's the thing is like, yeah, I don't. That's work for me. Chat. The thing is, I don't like, yeah. I'll do some. What about Ducky? Chat. I'm not talking about like virtual. Chat. I'm not talking about virtual. Like, I'm not saying that y'all aren't my friends, but like, let's be realistic, dude. Chat. Let's be realistic. I need like an actual friend group. I'm dead serious when I troll this. No, when I say this, not troll this. I literally have no friends. I'm not even trolling. I'm not even trolling. My one best friend moved back in 2020, I think. They moved out of the neighborhood when we were talking. We would play like every summer. And then back in, I don't know, like 2 years ago, my other friend, we broke off on speaking on terms because he did stuff. Maybe it was 3 years ago at this point. he did stuff I didn't want, and I'm not gonna go into. I didn't want to be a part of. So, but like, yeah. Other than that, and me and him would literally hang out every single day. In summer, I'm not even trolling. We would literally, I would go to his house. He would go to my house. Mainly me. I would go to his house every single day in the summer after school. So it's not like it was pretty big. That's a pretty big thing to do. So yeah. Um no, it's pretty big. So yeah. I need to get some. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I need to do. So maybe I need to go ahead and social groups. Like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna get copyright. It was up.
Okay, you say you have no friends.
Wait, 1 minute, 1 minute. Second? You're on stream.
I have a good way to fix that you say you have no friends IRL.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah. You're on stream, by the way. Yep.
So you work, right?
Yeah.
You meet people every day, right? You're social, and well, you probably don't. You work in the back, but you have employees, right? Your coworkers.
Yeah. I work. Yeah, I work with people. Yep.
And there are also groups around. I'm not gonna say. Okay, around your area. We'll say that. Right, there are groups that you can go to make friends, and that would probably be the best place to go.
Yeah, I need some sort of social
group. But there's one problem in that. You're bad at socializing.
Yeah, but that's the only way to fix that is by doing it.
Face to face, you're probably not the best.
No,
right?
I understand that. Like, I'm mostly like, even when I'm working, I've been trying to get more, like just little small talk between my workers whenever there's downtime, my like coworkers, because otherwise I'm just standing there for 8 hours working.
Like online, you're this chirpy person. Sometimes you'll be funny and bright, right? But in real life, in person, you're probably shy, right? You're like a little shy.
I am shy.
Here and there.
Yeah.
You don't like talking that much.
Yeah. I mean, and I have been talking about, like, the other day I talked to some workers in the break room, and they're like, yeah. They're like, I asked them, and the hardest thing is to start up a conversation, right? Yeah. Whenever you're, especially like this, it's like so hard because you're awkward and you don't know what to do. But I just like, and what are y'all gonna go do for the rest of your life? So like a career is, I said it better, but what is the career path? And they told me various career paths, and then like it always ends up getting back to streaming though. Like I don't know how to separate the two, my life and streaming. Maybe they'll never truly be separated, but like there needs to be a line, because what do I say to people that I do other than stream?
And I understand where you're coming from in that department, right? Because I've got so many friends online, but when it comes to real life, let's count how many friends I have.
Yeah.
I can't even count it on one hand. I can count it on one hand, right? That's how many people.
Yeah, I can count it with no fingers.
No hands. Right.
For me. Yeah.
Well, I've got 3 friends.
Yeah.
And one of them I don't talk to.
Yeah, so
really it's only 2 friends.
So yeah.
And I rarely talk to them as well, because I'm bad at face-to-face interaction.
Nah,
I usually call them.
Especially if you grew up with like online interactions. And I didn't grow up with online interactions. I actually grew up with the opposite. I only grew up with like, face-to-face interactions.
See, I've always grown up with an online interaction, but my mum's always tried to get me out for it. But that problem lies there. I never really went out of the house.
Right.
And you don't leave the house much either, do you?
Other than work, no.
See, I think it would be good to get out and about.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I could be biking, right? And I'm going to meet people in the street, people my age, people that may have same interests as me, right?
Right.
And that's where the barrier that you have to break is.
Right.
Is talking to strangers. Because you don't know that person, right? You don't know what their intentions are. You don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what they're like. You don't know anything about them.
but you'll never know unless you try.
Yeah.
That's the difficult
Which is my
thing.
main point that I'm getting at.
Right.
So
I
I
mean,
think maybe if you were on a walk with your dogs, you could maybe talk to people, maybe
right.
talk to other
There's a
people
starting
walking their
point. I
dogs,
can talk to people. I have dogs or whatever. Or I can, whatever.
Yeah.
Just talk to people in general. Do you have a car? I'm not gonna say. Yeah. Okay. That's not bad. Anything else? Any other recommendation?
Let's see.
I think the schedule's good. The problem is
like
whenever I try
friends
to.
or just in general?
Second.
For friends or just in general?
This is general.
I think you should definitely call me at any point in the day. Just like a few
The
minutes.
problem is I can't call you for like 8 hours of the day, and then if I wake up late, it all stems back to like scheduling myself better.
I mean, at any
what
time
this list
during
is
the day,
for.
right?
Right.
Any time during the day, even just a few minutes.
Right.
Right, because it would help you blow off steam, anything that you've got on your mind, you can always call me, right? Right. Because, I mean, chat, mine and comrades' conversations are so private.
Yeah.
I mean, how much have me and you said in calls together?
Yeah, like tons. We've insane amount.
Comrade's like a brother to me and a therapist to me.
True. Vice versa.
So, there's a big thing in that one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, I'm louder than you in the mic.
What?
What? I just played it back, but I'm a little bit louder than you in the mic.
Are you?
Yeah. A little bit. It's okay.
Alright. Yeah.
Comrade does not own a car personally.
Sort of. I'm not gonna say like exact details, but yeah. Out loud, like on a stream, just because some people it's not needed to know. That's on a need to know basis.
Ooh, but that would be a good idea getting your driver's license.
Yeah, I'm working on that.
Yeah, because that would expand you to more.
I'm trying to. Yeah, my mom really wants me to do that. You've been pushing me really hard to do that because of working super late. She likes to sleep,
Yeah, and it expands you to more opportunities with other people, go in places, go out with the friends that you meet.
Right. And I think it all starts at like making friends, low-key. A lot of it.
Yeah.
There's so many different aspects I could start off, but I need to start off at one and just work it my way up through. So I'm gonna start off today.
Right.
I actually gotta go because I gotta end stream. I gotta go to work. But speaking of work, I will go talk to my manager and see.
Talk to the shift manager.
Yeah, well, my manager is always in work, so manager. So yeah, I'll talk to one of them.
Talk to them about it and see what you can sort out about your work.
Bug on me or
Because your schedule started off slow.
Right. It's on me.
I think you might want to change those.
Right. Okay. Thanks, man. I'll see you, alright? Hello? Hello, mate? Yeah. I'll just hang up. Bye, chat. This is a good schedule. I don't know what happened, but yeah, chat, not bad ideas. It's good face-to-face interactions. May not be the best content for y'all, but it's good to have this. Well, I know it's not the best content for you, but it's good to have this out there, and so y'all know what I'm doing. I don't know what happened either, because it still said you were on the phone, so I just hung up. Anyway, chat, yeah, not the best content as far as content goes, but not really trying to do a lot of like I wasn't trying to create great content right now. I was just trying to make sure y'all know what I was doing and what's up with my life for now. So yeah, this is a good low-key schedule. Idea, but let me take a picture of it. Okay, we're good. Alright, chat, W stream, thank you for watching. Consider leaving a like if everybody wants to do that. That would help us out a lot. Also, I will be streaming more consistently. Oh yeah, and then it also goes back to streaming. Streaming. Streaming's not even on the schedule yet. So how long do I want to stream? Let's start off slow right now. I remember whenever I used to be fighting for as much time as possible streaming. Like with my mom, not fighting, but like trying to negotiate for the most possible time streaming. But maybe we realize that streaming for the most amount of time isn't the best. I can work my way up to back to 2 hours. I think an hour and 30 minutes I used to feel like was really short. And maybe given the stream, I might go longer, I might go shorter. It's going to be stream dependent. As far as schedule goes, let's find it. Let's go, like, say I start stream at 11 right now. Let's say that's a good medium ground. Yeah, that's a good medium ground for me. So 11, maybe 10:30. Well, it would depend on, but stream start 11. Oh, 1 minute. Stream 11, 10. Wait, no, let's go 10, 30 to 11. Start. And stream for like an hour and a half. I actually really want to start playing games that like I got this computer to play games that I couldn't play on my other one. And also because it wasn't working well, but dude, I have so many games we could play it. Dude, there's actually so many games. It's crazy. So yeah. I really want to start playing other games. As well. Like, look, bro. All these games, bro. They're like, we have like billions of games we could play. We have so many games. So yeah, we just have to play them. It's just a matter of playing them. Okay. I can't say it. Oh, here you go. My bad. Chat, look at all the games, bro. Literally, we have all these games, bro. Like hundreds. Chat, we have hundreds of games we could play from, so it's just a matter of picking it, and then we'll just go through. We'll go through and try to work them down. So yeah, ideas and let list. Pirated? Nah, that's on Steam. I got them. My brother has them, but I'm in his like Steam family or whatever you want to call it. So I get them too. Anyway, PC storage. I know how to. Alright, chat. So yeah, bro. That's kind of the idea. This is kind of the life schedule right now. We're gonna work on. I'll take another picture because I updated it. Chat, W's in the chat. I'm gonna go get ready for work, but thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for liking. And thank you guys for all of the donos, whether you do that or not. Hey man, more importantly, bro, I appreciate y'all just for hanging out with me, you know? At the end of the day, bro, the day got to the end, so how are you gonna end the day off? Hopefully on a good note. We do not condone pirated games. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, W's in the chat, and I'll see you guys. I'll try to stream tomorrow. I'll let y'all know on the update of if I got with my manager. Salute for the end, bro. That's so cringe. Alright, W's in the chat, and yeah, man. Join the Discord. !mark Discord. Peace. Take a screenshot of this just so I know. W, YouTube, and everybody else. !mark, Twitch, !mark, Kick, !mark, YouTube, !mark, Discord, !mark, X. all those work, or just check us out on YouTube and join the Discord for all